Hi there! Welcome to Cltv. I'm your host Ken Lammers, and today we're going to go through my favorite blog postings, or the best blog postings that I see them for the last week.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Hi again, Ken Lammers here. Welcome to Cltv. It's time to go and find out what I saw and what interested me this last week in and amongst the blog postings. And we're going to start out with Austin criminal defense lawyer, who's talking about, well, something that we've all seen, plagiarizing from one blog or from any sort of source and just sticking it in a different blog. I know this has happened with a number of my posts. I'm sure it's happened with others of you who've been around for a while. And, you know, we've all seen the people who just take, I think what all started this was defending people, talking about how, somebody had just taken a federal document and just stuck it into his blog. And I think that happens. Those sorts of things happen all the time. You see it a lot of times. You used to see it a lot more with news articles. I think that the newspapers have kind of gotten into the point where they crack down on it more if they find somebody who's just taking news articles and putting them in. They can't do much for commentary. That's fair use. But if all you're doing is taking news articles and putting them in, I think that the newspapers, or the online newspapers, have kind of cracked down on that. But Austin criminal defense lawyer posits two reasons why you see these. The first is you're a lawyer who's been convinced that if you put up a blog, it can help you in your business. Your business model can be made better, and you can drive more numbers to your site and therefore to your doorstep, so that you can earn more money in your business than going to court. And these people are told by whoever sells them the blog idea, well, if you just enter a blog entry, it doesn't really matter what you put in there, once a week, once a month, and you take something out of the news, you just kind of stick it in, and maybe you comment a little bit on it, but you just have to put something in there. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to put all that much work into it. It's not that much work, And these people, they grab things from different blogs, and they put maybe they put a line at the front, at the top. This is an interesting post. And then they put it in and link back to you or whomever. And you see those every so often. And of course, there's also the blogs, and we've all seen these. I catch one of these, it seems like once a week, where somebody just has some sort of, as best I can figure it, they've got a program that goes through and says, aha, this blog posting mentioned dogs. Because that's when it happens a lot with me. If I put my dogs in the blog, I get thrown into a splog somehow. And for those of you who don't know what splogs are, they're spam blogs. They're they grab sections from different blogs and different news articles and they stick them in. And the whole idea is just to get you to come to the page. And you come to the page and it's got advertisements on it, trying to get you to click through. Those don't bother me so much because that's just garbage. It does bother me more when I get somebody who's doing the lawyer blog or whatever blog, and just grabs one of my postings full-fledged and sticks it in. That's kind of problematic. Well, next we're going to talk about Of Counsel. And Of Counsel, in a post labeled "Scandalous," is talking about how talking about what everybody's been talking about for the last few days about the New York governor. But the first part of the post is the interesting part, where she talks about how, as a defense attorney, her perception of what others, how others see things, how they don't understand what's going on with her client, how that affects her perception of these people, including victims, legislators, judges, prosecutors. And I can understand that. I mean, I've been on both sides, and I remember that feeling. And I don't know that I instill that feeling so much. I'm sure I do. I mean, every time your client you don't think your client's getting exactly the deal he ought to get, you know, or that he's being unfairly prosecuted or over prosecuted or whatever, you think the prosecutor, you probably think the prosecutor is either A, one, a jerk, or B, two, is clueless and doesn't understand. For those of you who are defense attorneys, number 2 is probably easier to cure. Well, for those of you who are young defense attorneys, I think older defense attorneys already know that already. And moving on, we get to Norm Pattis. And Norm wants his state to change its constitution so that every single person charged with a criminal offense gets the opportunity to have a court-appointed attorney. And he talks about how, you know, this is, you know, one of the most sacred parts of you know, the lives of a citizen. You're messing with his liberty, and you know, the government can be wrong at times, and therefore the government should, you know, not mandate court-appointed attorneys, but should offer them for everybody, you know, just to make sure that they're getting proper defense. I've already talked about this a little bit. Remember, I think if you look down, you go to the far right corner underneath the video, down, keep going down, you get down to theory, and it's you know, under the theory heading, there's something there that says something about requiring a criminal defense attorney or something like that. And it talks about how, you know, if you read the 6th Amendment, if I remember right, 6th Amendment right, it has a positive requirement for everything in it, and one of the things in it is having a criminal defense attorney. Now, of course, no court has ever interpreted it that way, and probably never will. But it's an interesting theoretical read. The last 2 for today are from Simple Justice. And the first is, you know, from Simple Justice. It's a post called Simplistic Assumptions, in which you know, he basically condemns stereotyping, and I take a hit basically for having done a, you know, a stereotypical little blurb post about how funny it is that a defense attorney would take a law and order position, and you know, and he kind of gently chides me and others for assuming that defense attorneys are all of the far, you know, left, and don't think that anybody should ever have to be, any law should be enforced and people should have to follow them. I don't really believe that, but you know, I'll take the hit because, you know, I've been around doing this long enough. I got a little bit of a thick skin, and you know, as a man who grew up in Kentucky, I got some good common sense roots, and it tells me that when a person says this sort of thing, I should take it as constructive criticism and not really, you know, be too upset about it. And the second thing that we're going to talk about from Simple Justice today is from a post called Kentucky, Center of the Anonymous Universe, in which, well, let's see, I find out that there's a dearth of dental hygiene in Kentucky, that, let me see, there are DNA distinction problems in Kentucky, and that apparently there's something wrong with a local businessman who owns the local grocery and a gas station being elected as representative for an area. Although, we'll say that Scott paid him a compliment, say he pumps gas real good. Oh, let me see. Let me explain what this is all about. The representative, state representative, Commonwealth representative, I guess should say, is from a couple counties out in the mountains. He's from Hyden, apparently is where his business is out of. Now Hyden, for those of you who don't know where I'm at the moment, is about an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half northwest of where I'm at, where I live and work. Now for those of you who are Yankee Flatlanders, without mountains, that's probably 20 to 30 minute drive as the crow flies. But you know, the mountains just don't make it too easy to go in that straight line. And beyond that, let's talk about what the issue was. Well, Representative Tim Couch, and he's not that Tim Couch for anybody who's from Kentucky. He's an older gentleman. Well, not that old either, but he's not that Tim Couch. Representative Tim Couch put forth a bill saying that it would be illegal to post anonymously on the internet, at least for Kentucky. And we all see the issues there. There's some First Amendment issues. Posting anonymously is, you know, a traditional political form of expression, blah, blah, blah. You know, and even further, how do you enforce that? You know, Scotty asked, well, what's Kentucky Highway Patrol going to show up here? Well, there isn't really a Kentucky Highway Patrol. There's Kentucky State Police, which troopers. I hope for your sake they never show up there, because I know what I was taught about troopers as I grew up. Troopers travel by themselves on the highway late at night without much chance of backup, and consequently they deal with people in a manner that makes it in your best interest to say yes sir, no sir a lot if you do have to have an encounter with a Kentucky State Trooper. And you know what? There ain't a whole lot of people in Kentucky really got many problems with that. But moving on, you know, Tim Couch had put this issue forward. It put this bill forward saying, you know, you can't post anonymously. And, you know, like I said, there's troubles. We all know that the troubles are going to make it, you know, probably unconstitutional, not enforceable, you know, all these sort of issues. You know, let me say what, I mean, if you've worked in a prosecutor's office, and hopefully some of you have seen this other than me, and some of the people in my office, but if you've worked in a prosecutor's office or, you know, talked to your sheriffs or police, you've come across issues where this has been a problem. And we're not talking about anonymous trolls on a blog. You know, the anonymous trolls on a blog, the blogger can control those by controlling his comments, or, you know, or just letting him go or whatever. Problem runs into are things like, you know, some kid puts up a MySpace page, and the people from kids from his school anonymously, you know, spam the page telling him that he's scum, they're going to get him, blah, blah, blah. Or even worse, something that we have seen more than once, yeah, they put up pages where, you know, the page isn't really trackable to a particular person. MySpace lends itself to this. Facebook isn't as easy to do. MySpace lends itself more. Or something like Blogger or anything, but, you know, MySpace seems to be the more popular thing. And they put up something on MySpace where, you know, they post a nasty picture of somebody, they start passing bad rumors about somebody, all of which is done without entirely anonymous. And we've seen, I know I have heard and seen and tried to deal with, me, more likely the school resource officers, but, you know, helping the school resource officers as they figure out how to try to deal with these things, which have happened over and over and over again. You know, it's a real issue. Now, on a more serious, even more serious level, you of course get the chat rooms where the 42-year-old guy is trying to chat up a 13-year-old girl, and while he's claiming to be a 15-year-old boy from the next town over. We all know that sort of thing can happen, and if they had to give their real name and had to have a real profile which showed their actual age and all that, yeah, that'd be helpful. That'd be a good thing, because 13-year-old girl is most likely going to be at least tech savvy enough to click on his profile, and if his profile doesn't show a 15-year-old boy who claims to be from the next county over, it shows a 42-year-old guy who gives his name, address, date of birth, age, and all that sort of stuff. Well, then hopefully the online predator would be stopped more more than they are now. So there are serious reasons for not wanting postings on the blogs and on Facebook or MySpace or chat rooms to be anonymous, where there are serious reasons it would be a good thing for you not to be anonymous. Again, it's not something you can really do, but I understand why the man would think about posting something like that, would think about putting a bill like this forward. And, you know, I'm not sure what his familiarity is with the internet. There's a good chance that he's not the most familiar with the internet. He's, you know, running a grocery store on one part, which I'm sure is something that keeps you busy, and he's got himself a gas station over there, which he's running. I'm sure it's keeping him busy there too. Maybe other businesses, and it looks like, if you look at his website on the internet, that he's got a number of different organizations he's in, and of course he's traveling back and forth to Frankfort, Kentucky, which from where he lives is probably about a 3.5–4 hour drive, and there ain't no planes that can get him there quicker. So, or no airports, I should say. So this man's probably living a pretty busy life. He probably doesn't have time to, you know, get on the internet and look up MySpace and all sorts of things. So, you know, he's had someone in the community, whether it be parents, a parent group, or police, or sheriffs, or somebody come up to him and say, you know, this is a problem. We think this is the possible solution. We'd like you to put it forward. And he did. And it's going to die. I don't know if it'll die in committee or die on an actual vote or whatever. But it's going to die. We all know it is. It just happened to be one of those things that somebody caught the eye of somebody and then made it big in the blogger echo chamber. Much, I'm sure, to Mr. Couch's, well, by now probably chagrin. But I don't really think he deserves as much of a blasting as he's gotten. After all, you know, you have to be kind of forgiving for those, you know, simpletons out in the mountains. And ladies and gentlemen, having said my piece for today, I'm going to let you all go, and I'll see you next week in a new Cltv.